Good afternoon and thank you for your patience. I am Shivani Thakkar, your host for today. I have been part of marketing team at Cygnet.One for the past 2 years and I am delighted to welcome you to this webinar. While most webinars focus on mandates and timelines, today we will go beyond theory. You will see a live hands-on walkthrough of a real enterprise-grade UAE invoicing platform in action. In this webinar, you'll see how invoices are captured from ERP system and prepared for UAE readiness, validation of mandatory and conditional data, text logic and exception handling, compliance control, audit trails, configurable rules, and governance dashboard. Integration approaches for SAP, Oracle, and other ERPs. How platform handle failure, retries, and monitoring. Without further delay, let me introduce our speakers. Mr. Anil Rajnala. Mr. Anil is the Senior Vice President at Cygnet.One with 30 years of experience in business process transformation, text technology, and enterprise operation. A recognized thought leader in compliance risk mitigation, he specializes in leveraging technology to strengthen regulatory compliance and operational efficiency across organizations. Mr. Dipesh Dikshit. Dipesh is a global invoicing and SAP pre-sales specialist with hands-on expertise in PEPAL framework, ERP integration, and digital text transformation. He has worked with enterprises across the GCC, Europe, Malaysia, Singapore, helping them navigate real-world compliance challenges at Cygnet.One. He brings product strategy and implementation together to make complex mandates easier to execute. Let's make this webinar interactive. Please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A section during the webinar and we will address them at the end of the session. Over to you, Anil sir and Dipesh.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anil Rajnala. I think today we will talk about navigating the e-invoicing mandate, but not much on the subject per se. But you can keep moving. Mandate per se, but we will focus more on the what part of it, how e-invoices are getting generated, how that entire functionally the thing will happen. So majority of the time we will look into the practical aspects of living through the entire e-invoicing regime. So that what is the broad focus? And to coming back to the reality part of it, I think the mandate is here. We all know that the UAE FTA has decided to implement e-invoicing for B2B transactions based on a PEPAL framework, and all VAT registered taxpayers will be a part of this regime who have got a sales turnover of more than 50 million plus will have to meet what is mentioned over here at the above first milestone of getting registered with their respective ASP. So that's the milestone number one that we are talking about, with everyone will have to adhere to, and not adherences. There are other, I would say, challenges posed by the FTA, which we'll visit as we go ahead. And the next slide, please. What exactly are you talking about? What is this PEPAL framework and what exactly? While most of us on the call might know about what exactly is coming, but to briefly touch upon for any newcomers onto this entire subject, the corner 1, 2, 3, 4, which you are seeing is a document exchange, is a decentralized exchange which FTA has decided to use for the implementation of e-invoicing in UAE. Now, PEPAL is nothing but it is pan-European public procurement online application. This application was there in Europe, a very structured, safe way of transmitting documents, and they used to transmit procurement-related documents earlier, and it was a very safe exchange with many of the countries. Apart from the UAE and FTA have decided to use it as a main structure for the e-invoicing implementation. Let's very fundamentally understand how does it work. To help this understand, let me take a very simple example of what with all of us keep using day in and day out, the email part of it. Let's say if I have to send an email to Dipesh, I am on Gmail, Dipesh is on Yahoo. Then what will I do? I will create an email text, put an email ID, which is nothing but the endpoint, the email ID of Dipesh with the Yahoo domain, and send it across. It will naturally, since I am sending it, I am a Gmail customer, it will go to the Gmail domain, that server will try and understand that this incoming email ID is from which operator. They will understand it is Yahoo, send it across to the Yahoo domain. Then Yahoo will detect where my subscriber is placed. He will send it across to uh, Dipesh, who is the corner 4. This is exactly what a document exchange does. In the document exchange, if I am the supplier, I will generate an invoice. I will then send it across to my authorized access provider. Like Gmail was my authorized access provider for email. I will then decide who will be my access provider. Who will be these access providers? One of the 12 e-invoice service providers accredited by FTA. I think 9 to 12 service providers have been accredited by FTA. One of them will become the your service provider. For maybe simpler to understand, let us say that you are the supplier. You have decided to go ahead with Cygnet. So Cygnet becomes your corner 2. What will be the endpoint? Like the endpoint in case of email was the email ID with the domain name. Here it will be something called a PayPal ID. It is nothing but the top 10 digits of your TRN number and 0235, the access code put together forms your PayPal ID. So every invoice that you generate will carry the PayPal ID of the supplier, the PayPal ID of the buyer. It will come to corner 2. In PayPal Exchange, the invoice frame, the invoice data which comes will come in the form of an XML format. And it has to be in UAE Pine. So that it will come into that specific format with the help of your service provider. Go to corner 2. Corner 2 will validate this data. And then it will also have something called a directory of all the PayPal IDs which have been created in UAE. So it will corner 2 will dip into this SMP or the your PayPal ID locator. Understand that your buyer's PayPal ID is with which service provider. It will be one of those 9 or 12. So it will then send it across to corner 3, who is the service provider of your buyer, receiver or a buyer, who in turn will send it across to corner 4. Parallelly, as and when the invoice is sent across from 1, the supplier, to 2, he will also inform FTA, who is corner 5, that I have received a sales invoice, and then parallelly send it across to 3. When 3 receives it, it also validates this invoice and parallelly informs 5 that I have received a purchase invoice, and then pushes this invoice to the buyer, that is corner 4. So what is happening in this process? The invoice generated by the supplier straight away goes through the help of both the service providers of corner 2 and corner 3 to the buyer into his source system, and parallelly the sales and purchase data respectively are also recorded in corner 5, that is with FTA. So friends, starting 1st of January, or even from that perspective, even from the for 1st of August also, if you try and do it voluntarily, the FTA will start having line item wise data of all your invoices, purchase and sales both. That's the principal difference that will happen. And of course, in this, there is also a built-in message level status where the delivery status of your invoice in each of these corner will also be reflected back and sent across to you. So this is in turn how the entire 5-corner PayPal framework works, and the invoices are practically shared online, near online, and FTA is also informed online. One more thing to understand, that supplier has to generate all sales invoices, which means not only for domestic sales, but also if there is any export sales, even that sale also will be generated, sent across to corner 2. I understand that let's say if somebody has tried to export something to UAE, from UAE to India, India does not have a PayPal framework. So they might not have the PayPal ID of the buyer. In that case, for export invoices, corner 2 will generate a dummy PayPal ID and report it to corner 5 that an export sales has been done. Thereafter, cost supplier will download that entire invoice, and along with the other required documents it will attach to it and send it by email as per the current process to the his buyer. This is the broad framework of five corner PayPal, and we will understand more in detail as we see the demonstration of it. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now let's understand internally from each one of us. At the corporate level, what all will change? What is likely to change? Let's say from the IT team perspective, the IT team will have to first understand that if I have how many ERPs I have, how many source systems I have, how can I have a single source of truth so that I can then integrate with the respective ERPs uh, as per the requirement. That is the first preparation to be made. Second, the IT team also will have to decide how do you want to host the entire solution, whether on premises, on cloud, private cloud. We end up offering all the options. And also one of the key thing with the IT team needs to validate is the vendor or the service provider whom you are selecting, does he have all the required services in one platform? When I say this, I mean one, the every single service provider need to have three things. One, he should have an ASP, a system access process system would be available. He should be an ASP. Second, he should be also an access provider authorized by FTA. Third, he should also have the services of SMP. SMP is nothing but the entire service metadata publisher, the entire directory of all the PayPal IDs generated in UAE. There are 2 to 3 kinds of service providers today available in the market. Those who are using somebody else's ASP, white labeling them. Second, they are an access provider because that has been approved by FTA, but they use somebody else's service meta directory SMP. So one is dependent on somebody else for the overall service. Ideally, your service provider should have all the three in his of his own. That is what makes him absolutely foolproof. So all these aspects you will need to validate. Second, from the tax team perspective and also from the IT team perspective, you will have to start analyzing whether the 50 mandatory data points per invoice, is it available into your ERP? Because apart from the data points, some new masters will have to be created. One such, I was explaining it to you, will be the PayPal ID. So you will have to create a PayPal ID of all your buyers, all your suppliers, because that will be one important, I would say, sales identifier data required into the invoice. So all those aspects you will have to do along with the IT team. Second, there are other key multiple complex use cases in the form of exports, free trade zone, margin zone, deemed supplies, RCM supplies. There are 16 such use cases there. You will have to understand which of these use cases are applicable to our individual businesses, because each use case will have its own sets of mandatory and optional data points, which again will have to be calibrated into the ERP to be available while generating the e-invoice, because each of these factors will be validated when you generate an e-invoice. And finally, the CFO will have to understand the entire financial risk of ensuring the project moves on time and ensuring that the entire ecosystem around the e-invoicing, because e-invoicing is not just about generating invoice. He will have to also see that the purchase invoices are coming. Physical copies will continue to come post implementation of e-invoicing, and plus you will have this data coming from the PayPal framework also, which has been reported to FTA. So you will have to make a mechanism to match this data with the physical invoice which is coming up. So all those aspects from the supply chain to everyone will have to be validated to move forward. These are the immediate critical challenges which each one of us will have to evaluate with the help of either I end up doing a technical gap analysis and a functional gap analysis to understand where do I stand and what all corrective actions I need to take. Next slide, please. Friends, this is the e-invoicing ecosystem. All that we've been talking about, what exactly happens. On the side that you are seeing on the left-hand side is all your ERPs and source systems. We help integrate and fetch data from the ERPs into the e-invoicing system, which is the global e-invoicing system, which does most of the activity. Point number one, we will take all the mandatory data points required for e-invoicing from the ERP. And to do this, we have three forms of integration capabilities available: API integration, web folder based integration, and we also have data converters. Ideally, depending upon the volumes that you have and the number of source systems that you carry, since this is a reporting framework, to go live and initially not to get into a very complex integration scenario, you can consider going an SFTP, the file based integration, or using the data converter to get the data and start being compliant. But any customer who wants to do a fully integrated API integration, we are available and we can make it happen from day one. Also, if you want to do the integration and you just want the API support from us, even that is available. So in short, we have the full bouquet of services available. Ideally, you can decide which one is more suitable and which one is more easier to make it happen. And one more thing to understand here is, right now only 50 million plus customers will get into the e-invoice bandwagon. Maybe in July 2027, everybody will go live. So you can even parallelly decide to go live with data converters and file based integration right now. And as we progress and the entire ecosystem gets into that entire thing, one can decide to functionally and permanently move across to the entire API based integration. But the choice is yours. We should be in a position to provide you all three in whichever way you want. So once we get the data, it gets into our global e-invoicing system. Here we convert this data into XML UAE point format. That is one critical part of the requirement. Then we validate the entire data and then push it across to corner 2, where corner 2 will again validate the schema validation and the data dictionary. Then it will do this entire stuff, encrypt it and send it across to corner 3, and also send a abbreviated tax document module to corner 5. Once corner 3 receives it, it will decrypt, validate the signature verification and everything, inform corner 5 that everything is fine post validation, and then send these details across to the recipient corner 4, who is the buyer, with the document and the XML format, where the corner 4's access provider or an ESP will receive it and further process it into the ERP. This is how the entire system works. Parallelly, next slide, next point. Parallelly, you will also receive purchase invoices. So in this case, again, as and when the vendor ERP generates an invoice, your buyer in the sense that your counterparties, corner 2 will send it across to your access provider, who is Cygnet, who will become corner 3 when the purchase invoice will come, decrypt, validate, inform corner 5 and send it across to you. You will be able to, if you have multiple PayPal IDs or multiple entities in your organization, it will create folders for each of these organization, the purchase invoices, put the purchase invoices per PayPal ID in each one of them, help it convert it into a flat file or a readable format, and through reverse integration, we can then place it back into the ERP. Subsequently, the organization can then get into their entire purchase entry process and validation and accounting processes subsequently. So this is how the entire sales and purchase invoice journey flows through this entire system. Next slide, please. One thing now, having given this entire explanation, is what is it that one really needs to look into this end-to-end e-invoicing partner? One, help understand. From our perspective, I can say we are officially recognized by UAE authorities right from the time of from the time of VAT implementation. So we are one of the approved parties of VAT implementation. Now we have got, including the authorized for e-invoicing also accredited, and we are operating in 35 plus countries. And we are a global e-invoicing partner in multiple countries. Plus, we have a unified platform not only from the global e-invoicing solutioning which we have and with Dipesh will show you, which can cater to multiple countries as per your subscription, but also the key authorized platform. We are both, and all the three, we are an ESP. We have our own platform. Plus, we are also an access provider approved by FTA, and we also have our own SMP services. So, all multiple solutions required to be an united platform. We've got everything on the top of it. We are also a VAT service provider. So in future, if one wants to look into the entire VAT versus e-invoicing reconciliation also, it becomes so very easy to take an entire comprehensive compliance platform having a single source of truth. And plus we offer seamless integration capabilities with all source systems, whether it is from converters to file-based integration or through API integration. Next slide. This is what we discussed. I am just reiterating again for each one of us to get ready. You will need 50 to 53 mandatory data fields to help generate a validated e-invoice, which is something which we need to validate immediately and have a functional gap analysis done to ensure that we also cover up all 16 UAE business scenarios, which will, as I said, complete the entire exports, free trade zone, deemed supply, margin supply, e-commerce. Each one of them will have their own complexities. And how do we ensure that the required mandatory and complex data points are made available with the help of a thorough, good functional analysis? And then plus you have to ensure that what do you opt for? An on-premise solution, a private SaaS solution, or an on-cloud solution. We can help you, take you through this entire solutioning and give you a comprehensive view of what your entire business case should look like. Just next slide. Just to be onto the same part of the journey, I think we need to understand that the first milestone, that is 31st of July, please ensure you register with your authorized access provider. If not, a penalty of 5,000 AED per month will start happening from August onwards. That's one. Second, I keep hearing these queries from the customers also. What do I do if my buyer is not still gone live or is not compliant? Anyone who is 50 million plus and subsequently after July 2007, when the entire economy goes on to e-invoicing, if someone from the date of 1st January or 31st July for less than 50 million does not generate an e-invoice, there will be a fine of 100 AED per document or 5,000 AED per month, whichever is higher. So this is what it is. And for any failure or anything, if not reported per se, then there is a penalty of 1,000 AED per day. So each of those aspects needs to be understood. We need to understand our current processes of VAT returns and e-invoicing, and also try and understand how are we going to ensure that the entire reconciliation part is fully taken care of from the beginning part of this entire thing. Having said this, I would now request Dipesh to take the entire discussion forward and then help you show what this system is all about.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, guess after this discussion, Anil sir has very well explained that how the data would be integrating, will be going to the corner to what are the options we have to get the data from your source systems to our application itself, right? So we have all those systems. Anil sir has very well explained that part. Now we'll be going that how the data would be looking in the e-invoicing platform of the Cygnet, right? And before I go to the demo part, I just want to add one more point that this is the global scale that we are actually successfully handling right now. Okay, that you can say that around 800 invoices or at the global level, we are actually handling at the transactions per second, which is actually scalable up to the 1000 TPS. Okay, so with that, our application is actually scalable up to the 1000 TPS to manage any kind of volume, and the 5 billion plus transactions we are actually handling at the global level right now. Okay, so that's how this is our application. And if you remember when Anil sir was mentioning about the integration part at the in the slides, you must have seen that there is a corner by the name of the corner 1A in the sales flow and the corner 4A in the purchase flow, right? So the corner 1A and corner 4A is that application only where the businesses would be able to see all their invoices. And to access this application, we have to do a one-time exercise of onboarding the entities here like this. We just need to go to the manage organization. Okay, either we can add the option, we can import the entities. We can import the entities by using the Excel format within this application itself, or if we want to add the entity manually, we just need to click on this button. We need to select the entity here. We need to enter the name like this. Okay, then we need to select the countries. Now, as you all can see that there is a multiple names in the country dropdown. It means we have created this application to handle the invoice compliance of multiple countries itself, where we are actually working for the e-invoicing in 43 plus countries. So from the single application, the businesses would be able to handle the e-invoice compliance for the multiple countries, for the multiple entities in the multiple countries itself. So here for the UAE, we would be selecting the AE only. And in that case, you will see some more fields would be pop up, like the tax details numbers, the TIN number, and the financial year start. With that, you would be able to see the data transmission tab, where we need to select the tax authority also and the PEPOL both. So again, from the single application or on a single time, you would be able to get the PEPOL IDs also, and at the same point of time, you would be able to onboard on the Imaratex platform also. Okay, so once we'll select the tax authority and PayPal both, you will see again the Cygnet SMP fields will be pop up here. Okay, where we would be adding selecting this A10, which is again a 0235, a PayPal code of the UAE. After that, we have to add the 10-digit TIN number for your entities. Then we would be again adding the basic details like the email address, mobile number, building number, and everything. And once we'll click on the save button, a new window will be open. I'll show you the video also that how it would be looking of the Imaratex portal. That a new window will be open where the portal will be going to this Imaratex platform itself, where you just need to select your vendors. I'll show you. That's how. Where it would be taking you to the page of the Imaratex portal. You have to select with your email ID and the password in that. Okay. And then again, the security code, you have to enter it here. And once you will log in on it, you have to select your entity, for which entity you are actually doing the registration of the Imaratex portal right now. Then once you select the entity, you have to go to this e-invoicing tab and you have to Cygnet as your ASP here. So here what we are doing is we are providing an information to the Imaratex portal that through Cygnet only we will be transmitting our invoice over the PayPal framework also, and we would be reporting our invoices to the authority also. Now, once you will click on the yes after selecting the Cygnet ASP, a co-branded page of the Cygnet will be open with the FTA portal, where again you need to enter the registered Imaratex email address, mobile number, and the entity details. And once you will click on the submit, you will be coming up to this page again, to this Cygnet invoicing application, where it would be giving you the status of your entity onboarding over the Imaratex portal also, like this, that it has been successfully onboarded. And again, over the PayPal also, it would be showing as in status of the onboarded. Now, once the entity will be onboarded here, we have the users where you would be able to create a sub users for this application. And in that case, you can refine your users as per the country also, if you are using this application for the multi countries, and or you can define your users at the entity level also, right? With that, once the sub users will be created, you would be able to define their roles also, that to which user you want to define that particular role, that which user would be able to see the search or view the invoices, or the import data in this application, which a user would be able to download the files or send the data to the over the PayPal framework and to report the authority. Each and everything roles you would be able to assign here for your sub users. Now, once the entity users and roles has been defined, okay, we would be going to this document option where again we have the multiple options to get the sales invoices within this application itself. So first of all, we have this portal option where once you will click on this import button, it would be giving you the option to add the data of the entities, document, or the business partner and the product. Okay, let's say if I select the document here, okay, I just need to whatever the data we have in the Cygnet selected format. Okay, we just need to upload it here. Okay, once it would be successfully uploaded, it would be giving you the options, okay, that whether the file has been successfully uploaded in this application or not. In case if there is any error in that particular file, you would be able to see those errors like this. For example, in the entities, if we are getting any error, it will be giving you that kind of errors that the entity type must not be MTT, or please, if the country code is Malaysia, then we have to finalize, we have to add the country code for that purpose, right? So this kind of errors you all would be getting. With that, apart from the Excel import, again, we have the multiple integration methods, as Anil sir has mentioned earlier, that we have the API integration also and the data exchange method also. The SFTP integration, we can say, or the file-based integration, we can call it, where whenever we would be doing the integration with the ERP system, at the same point of time, the data, the sales data would be coming into this application itself, right? And with that, you would be able to see the sales data like this. Now, if you want to put the automation in that particular sales data that the data is coming into this application, and at the same point of time, it will be going to the over the PayPal framework also and to the authority also, that automation can be done. Or if you don't want to do that particular automation and if you want to review the invoices first, that like in this particular invoice number, you just need to click on that tab and you would be able to see all the invoices here like this. That is also possible. And then if you want to do the manual generation of invoices, either the bulk generation or the one by one generation, you would be able to do that also by clicking on this generate e-invoice button. Now, once the invoice would be generated, if required from the same application, it can be shared over the email also to your customers. Okay, where either we would be able to we would be designing your invoice format in this application itself, or you can use our standard format with the header and footer of your businesses, right? So whenever the invoices would be successful, it would be giving you as a green status that delivered. But in case if we are getting any kind of failure, okay, like this, then it would be providing you the fail status also with the error message. In case if there is any business validation rule error, right, which we are getting before sending it to the corner 2 and reporting it to the FTA, that particular business rule validation also will be showing you as an error in that case. In case if we are doing the integration with your ERP systems, let's say we are using the API integration with your ERP system, so we would be able to send the response back to your ERP also. But somehow, if the end user is not on the system or is not using this application and we are not providing the response as per the business requirement, we are not giving the response at the ERP level itself. So we can set an email alert also that in case if there is any error in any of the invoices from the corner 2 or due to any validation error, immediately you would be receiving the email alert also for that particular transaction. So now in this case, this application will be acting as a corner 1A where all the invoices would be going to the corner 2. In the same way, when we are talking about the purchase transactions, so if we are acting as a corner 5 for you, corner 3 for you, sorry, right? So whatever the purchase invoices we would be receiving as a corner 3, you would be able to see all those invoices like this. Okay, and again, if you want to review that particular invoice, you just need to click on this tab. Okay, and in the same way, you would be able to review that invoice also. Even we have added that kind of email alerts and the notifications over the email also or to the end users also, where whenever we would be receiving the purchase invoice at this level or at this corner 3 or 4A, right? At the same point of time, the end user will also be receiving the emails also that this particular purchase invoice has come up to this corner 3. Okay. With that, what we have done is we have tried to create this application as an omni-channel for all kind of purchase invoices. It means that where we are receiving the invoices over the PayPal also, and in the same way, many of the businesses would be receiving the invoice PDF also at their email ID or to the supplier portal or to the vendor portal. So what we have done is, apart from this PayPal invoices, we have provided the functionality to add those invoices also that we have received over the email and over the supplier portal and the vendor portal, right? So that's how we would be able to create an omni channel for all kind of purchase invoices within this application itself. And even we have this IDP view also, where if we are receiving the PDFs from the over the email, so this open IDP view would be doing the AI based reading of that particular PDF and will be providing you that particular data within this application itself. Right. That's why we have given these two options in this document source, where the purchase register, it means whatever the invoices is available at your ERP level or in your email or in the vendor portal. And then the invoices that we have received from the PayPal framework. And again, why we are doing this, providing this particular functionality, so that we would be able to reconcile that whatever the data we have received over the email into that particular PDF, and whatever the data we have received over the PayPal framework into the XML format, whether they are successfully matching or not. Because at the end, whenever we are talking about the complete purchase process from the procurement to the payment, right? In that case, after the reconciliation only with the PO or with the invoice that we have received over the PDF, the entities would be able to make the complete payment to their vendors. Okay, so that's how the sales and purchase report would be available for your purpose. And again, we are providing one functionality in this application. It is like that there might be a chance that with many of the vendor invoices, you would be receiving some supporting document also. Okay, so in case if we had that particular supporting documents into the string format into the XML of that purchase invoices, then in that way you would be able to download those invoices also, this invoice PDF also from there. With that, the supporting document also, we will be converting that string into the PDF format, and we would be providing you that functionality to download those supporting documents within this application itself. So that's how you would be able to see all the sales and purchase data within this application itself. And what we would be doing is, for the VAT purpose, that sales and purchase data can be download into the Excel format for your return preparation itself. Many of the businesses would in the UAE would be like that, they would be having the B2B and B2G transactions only. Okay, so for those kind of businesses, you would be able to get all the VAT reports within this application only for the sales and purchase, whatever the sales and purchase data we have ingested in this application for the e-invoicing purpose. Okay, so now apart from the sales and purchase report, we have the reconciliation also. Okay, and we have this complete reconciliation hub we have, where you would be able to do the reconciliation between the sales versus PayPal versus tax authority and the purchase versus PayPal versus tax authority. Now, if I click on this purchase versus PayPal, okay, you would be able to see all the data like this into the reconciliation format, where the invoices that you have received from the over the email or through the vendor portal or the supplier portal, then the reconciliation with the invoices that we have received as a corner 3 into the XML format. And again, there would be another section where the invoices has been successfully reported to the tax authority, right? So that's complete reconciliation you would be able to see in this application itself. Sorry, in this application itself. With that, sorry, I think there is some issue with the system. With that, we have the, you can say again, vendor-wise reconciliation we have, where you would be able to see all the data like this. you would be able to see the data at the vendor level also. Okay, so if you want to do the reconciliation for that particular vendor at the invoice level, you would be able to do it like this. Okay, now we have the dashboard also. Whatever the data we have ingested in this application, on the basis of that, we would be providing this BI dashboard. Again, in this, you would be able to see the sales summary, the purchase summary, the sales bifurcation, the purchase bifurcation, current revenue, recurring revenue for that current month, or the purchase recurring expenses at that particular current month, depending upon the sales and purchase. Again, if you are using this application at the multi-country level, then again, you would be able to see the country-wise sales bifurcation and the country-wise purchase bifurcation. But again, if you are using it for the UAE purpose only, so here you would be able to see the entity-wise sales bifurcation and the entity-wise purchase bifurcation. And again, it is a configurable dashboard. Now, what we have done is we have added one additional functionality of the Cygnet.AI in this application itself, where what would be happening is we would be providing you our AI tool. On the basis of that, whatever the insights you would be looking for the sales and purchase data available in this application, you would be able to have it. For example, if I add one prompt in this application, okay, if I add that particular prompt, let's say I want that I want to see the data of that particular month only. Okay, so it would be providing me the data accordingly. Whatever the data we would be having into the sales and purchase part, accordingly it would be providing me the data in that case. Like this. In September, there were 19 invoices with a total amount of AED 22,593. Like this. Now again, if I ask for the purchase reconciliation of the available data, okay, so within a matter of seconds only, okay, that how much time it would be taking to ingest the data in this EI part, it would be providing you the complete data into the graphical format. Right? So that's how my application actually would be working in that case. If I give that particular prompt, on the basis of that, it would be giving me this complete graphical data also for that purpose. So that's how this Cygnet.AI will also be working. Right. After that, we have some reports, or you can say we have created the audit trail within this applications itself. It will be providing you all the document sent report, and whatever the document received report, it would be giving you that particular options. Right. And in the same way, whatever the logs we would be creating, the user access management, that which user has used that application, which user has imported the data in this application, all the things you would be able to see in this particular application. So that in case if your IT team asks for the audit purpose, so you would be able to provide the logs from this application itself. And again, this application can be hosted on your premise also, on the private cloud also, or on the Cygnet cloud also. So again, it depending upon the requirement of the clients, how we need to do the installation of this application, we can do that. But again, we need to think about one thing, that in many of the businesses, the requirement would be like that end user don't want to use any third-party application, where we would be doing the integration with the global ERPs like the SAP, Oracle, and the Dynamics 365. So where the reports can be generated within those system itself, but still this application can be useful for the entities, for the onboarding of the entities over the Maratex portal and the PEPOL IDs that I mentioned earlier. Then again, the same application can be used for this dashboarding purpose also, for the management, right? And in case, let's say, due to any reason, there is some issues with the ERP, or there is some downtime with the ERP, or if there is any migration is happening from within the ERPs itself, either like from Oracle to SAP, or within the ECC to S4 HANA, and but the e-invoicing is actually needing at that point of time. In that case, this application can be used for the generation of the invoices also. Now, apart from this, we have the settings also within this application itself where you would be able to configure this application as per your requirement. For example, if you want to enable the UAM, you would be able to do it. In that case, that particular branches, departments, and user and roles can be defined, and they won't be able to see the data of any other users itself, right? You would be able to create the document copies, enable MLS callback. When we are talking about the MLS, it means the acknowledgement that we would be receiving from all the corners. When the corner 2 will send the data from to corner 3 and then to the corner 5, we would be receiving an acknowledgement into the form of the MLS. So if you want to set that particular MLS callback, you would be able to do it from here itself. Then if we talk about the import section also, that how the data has to be entered within this application itself. Okay, if you want to set the sequence of that particular all the invoices, let's say if we are receiving the invoices from the multiple source systems, right? So we can define the document auto numbering here. Okay, if there is any issues with the tin or any kind of validation error we are getting specifically to the tin itself, then we can display the warning also for that purpose. Okay, let's say we have the some data within this application itself, like the item level data we have already maintained in this application, right? So that data can be auto populated within this through this. The data can be auto populated in at the e-invoicing level itself, right? So that's how we have this multiple options in the settings. Then again, if we talk about the inward or invoices, okay, so we have this data. Let's say if we have some invoices within the application itself that first we have received that invoice over my email or through the supplier vendor portal, and that particular business has successfully uploaded that invoices within my application itself. But now I have received the same invoices over the XML. So by doing some pre-validation checks, the XML invoice will override that particular PDF invoice within that application only. Okay, but if you want to if you want to stop that particular exercise, you can off it. Then, as I mentioned earlier, that we have the standard PDF design also within this application itself, where you would be able to add your header, the document title, you would be able to add the logo here also. The basic details, you would be able to define it within this application itself on our standard Cygnet platform. Okay, now again, if we are going to the notifications part, as I mentioned earlier, that we have the email notifications, right? And for the sales invoices also, if we are getting any error at the time of validation, either from my at the portal side or from the corner 2 side, so you would be receiving the invoice notifications. In the same way, if we are receiving the invoices via PayPal, right? So you again at the email also, you would be receiving the purchase notifications. With that, over the email only, you would be receiving the attached PDF also into the standard format of the Cygnet. Okay, and again, as I mentioned, the failed transaction notifications will also be there. Okay, at the security level also, if you want to restrict the user to the single role, it is possible. The changing of the username, restrict user creation with branch, each and everything you would be able to do it. The override password strength also, you would be able to handle it within this application itself from the admin user's ID. Okay, and so basically it is like that the multi-factor authentication also we have added in this application. Whatever the password policies we used to get at the SOC 2 level or due to the ISO certifications, right? All those password policies we have incorporated within this application itself. Right. So again, so we can say that the settings can be configured within this application as per the business requirement, and most of the scenarios we have already added within this application only. So that's how our e-invoicing application would be working for the UAE invoicing, or at the global level also for the businesses or the entities within the UAE itself. So thank you for sharing your time with us. If you have any queries, we can answer that, please. So again, yes, we have one question that what if you are a buyer and you are importing from a foreign supplier? How can this AP invoice be reported to the corner 5 if the foreign supplier does not have a PayPal ID? Now, in that case, if we are receiving any kind of imports from outside the UAE, right, we don't have to report it to the FTA. But yes, if we are receiving those imports over the PayPal framework, that can be handled. Okay, and the transmission can be happened over the PayPal framework itself, but it does not have to report it to the FTA, because in that case we have it is like that FTA has clearly provided the 16 use cases scenarios. Okay, so only those we have to report it to the authority. The second point is that whatever the import invoices we would be receiving outside the UAE, right, it won't be into the perfect format which has to be accepted from the FTA side. And the third point is that FTA is already linked with the import export portal of the UAE. So they already would be having the import data within their returns also. The second question is that how we can create a sales invoice and where need to create that in accounting software or at a Cygnet portal. So as I missed that part into this demo thing in the demo, right? But again, yes, we have that particular functionality in this within the application itself, where you would be able to create the sales invoices directly within this application like this. I'll show you. In this document part only, we have this create document option. We have this create document option where you just need to add the client billing details, okay, everything, and then we have to add the bill to details, okay, and the ship to details. So again, this complete information we have created as per the requirement of the FT only. The next question is that how long is the average invoicing implementation time with Cygnet? Do you impact assessment as well, and what's the average timeline for that as well? Yes, we do the impact assessment, but again, the timeline we would be able to provide you depending upon that how many domains actually in how many domains that they are actually working, how many ERP systems they are using. So depending upon that particular requirement, we would be able to define the timeline for that. And then you mentioned, next question is that we have in-house developed application. How do we integrate it using API? So in that case, again, if you have an in-house application, then the Cygnet would be exposing the APIs which has to be consumed by your IT team. And again, in that particular process, our integration team or the support team will be helping you and will be providing you the complete KT, okay, and will be providing you the integration support also, so that your IT team would be easily able to consume those particular APIs. The next question is that we need lot of supporting document like delivery note, QC, work completion certificate, etc. How these documents will be received? Can corner 1 and corner 4 will submit such document with invoice? So yes, those particular additional documents can be delivered with the invoice itself. In the PayPal data dictionary or in the PayPal structure, we have the field of the additional document or of the supporting document, where we would be converting those documents into the base string format, base 64 string format, and we would be adding it into that particular XML format only. Then all the XML invoices will be transmitting over the PayPal framework itself with all those supporting documents. That's why I have mentioned that in our Cygnet's application, if we are receiving the purchase invoices with the supporting documents into the base 64 format, then we would be able to provide you those supporting documents into the PDF format also by converting the string format, base 64 string format, into the PDFs. Then what happens if it is import of services where there won't be any record of imports to the UAE, such as custom entry exit? In that case, we have to add that particular entry within the VAT returns at the manual level itself. But still, if we are talking about the import of services or the import of goods, any kind of imports are excluded from the FTA e-invoicing. Will there be an issue about data privacy? No. In that case, as we have already mentioned, that either this application will be hosted over the on-premise or on the private cloud or on the Cygnet cloud. So if businesses opted for the Cygnet cloud itself, right, so we have hosted our services or we have hosted our servers within the UAE only. And as per the FTA requirement, any kind of data will not be going outside the UAE. And to comply with that particular requirement itself, we have taken the PayPal certification specific to the UAE. Cygnet has two PayPal certifications, one at the global level where the servers are in India, but second at the UAE level where the servers we have taken it within the UAE only. So you can say a corner 2 and corner 3 will always be in UAE for the UAE invoicing transmission. Then the next question is that from which exact department of free zone in the UAE is your trade license issued from? So for that particular information, we'll be sharing it with you over the email. Right, I think we are done with the questions. If you have any other queries, please feel free to share it over the email. We'll be happy to help you on that part.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and a big thank you to Anil sir and Deepesh. I hope this session was insightful for you all. Once again, thank you, everyone. I'll be ending the session now.